Hey there, friends. Welcome to Just the Gems. I'm Brandon, and it's been a little while, and things are really starting to pile up, so we gotta do a pickups. Before we begin, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. And enjoy. Oh boy, where do I even begin? Has it been a month? 1 month, 30-ish days since I did my last pickups video, in which I mourned my reckless spending, my desire to get and get and get without thought to the consequences. I think I one-upped myself. Whoops. Yeah, we've got, I'm gonna do a quick count. We got 21 items to go over, so we're gonna have to move along at a pretty decent pace. Starting out, Dot Hack Part 3 Outbreak. This is the PlayStation 2 series that started the whole Dot Hack franchise. Each of the 4 Dot Hack games on the PlayStation 2 came with an anime DVD, which is very important if you're buying these. Check and make sure that DVD's in there and it's not all scratched up to heck, because that's a key component to the story and also to the value of the product as I understand it here. I've had the first 2 games in the Dot Hack series for a long time, and I decided early on I wasn't going to play them until I had them all. And each month that's gone by has seen, especially the 4th part of this series, go up and up and up and up in value to the point where now it almost feels like unobtainable. So we'll have to see. Maybe, I can sell some things. That's why God gave you 2 kidneys. So, Luminous Arc. This is a Nintendo DS tactical role-playing game, I believe. Complete inbox here. This one looks interesting. There's another one as well, a sequel that I think is even pricier. With collecting games like this, these older games that tend to be pretty high cost, I'm thinking like over what they originally retailed for, right? So this was this maybe $45 or something when it came out brand new? I think I probably spent, I don't know, conservatively 80-ish. But I've decided to stop trying so hard to dig for these amazing deals like you see on channels like the Game Chasers or any of these channels that started out game hunting before everything went insane. Like, it was possible 10, 12, 15 years ago to go to a flea market and find, what's the name of the game? I keep wanting to say Solomon something. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name of the game, Little Samson, just now, and my wife over there clued me in. Little Samson is what I was trying to think of. She doesn't really play. I don't know. I don't know how she knew that. She listens to me. Oh. At least somebody does. Just kidding. I love you all. Yeah, so I've decided, that's not really possible anymore. Maybe at a garage sale or something, you'll get lucky and find some stuff. But for the most part, the people and the businesses that have these games now know what they're worth. It's going to be a more or less fruitless search if you're just looking for those screaming, crazy, they don't know what they have sorts of deals. So looking at these things as collector's items, as pieces that I want to have for my collection, it doesn't hurt quite so bad to pay up. So anyway, just food for thought. Codename Steam. This is a Nintendo published game. It's sort of a tactical strategy. I don't recall hearing amazing things about it. I was in a store and they were asking like $4 or $5 for it, and so I bought it. Deathmark. Ooh. Halloween's over, but spooky nonetheless. This is, I believe, a visual novel, a dark, spooky visual novel. I believe there's a sequel out as well on like the Switch and whatnot called like Deathmark. IG or NG or something, I don't know. But I'd like to play more visual novels. I've enjoyed the few that I have played. House in Fata Morgana, for example. Beautiful work of art. There's a whole lot of other visual novels out there. One I played not too long ago, Tokyo Dark. I think that's digital only. I would love a physical version of that, but just some really cool stories. And the visual novel format is really fun and engaging. So we'll check this out. We're going old school. Secret of Mana. Now I say Secret of Mana because in the PlayStation 4 remake of Secret of Mana, they pronounce it Mana. Now I know that probably should be Mana, but I've got to abide by the canon. My hands are tied. I'm very sorry. Secret of Mana is, of course, a classic Super Nintendo action role-playing game from Squaresoft. It barely needs an introduction, but I gave it one anyway, so that's a freebie for you. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The soundtrack, Hiroki Kikuta, man, just crushes it. It's so good. I didn't have it. I didn't own it. I have multiple ways to play it. I have the Super Nintendo Classic Mini, and it's on there, and maybe one or two other ways, not counting the remake on the PlayStation 4. But I really wanted to possess the original cartridge, so here we go. Vandal Hearts. This is a tactical role-playing game in the vein of Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm not sure when this came out in relation to Final Fantasy Tactics. It says 97. That was around when Final Fantasy Tactics came out. So they were, I guess, contemporaries with each other. A lot of similarities here. They're all speaking the same language, coming from like the ogre battle tradition and things like that. I have started playing this actually, which is a pickups video first. I actually have opened and played a little bit of Vandal Hearts. And you know what? I thought that I would just maybe play it a little bit to grab some footage and put it aside and be like, well, that's a game that's in my collection now. But I actually kind of am getting pulled in, so I think I'm going to keep going. Maybe we do a review, maybe not, we'll see. But liking it so far. The worst character designs I think I've ever seen. Who is this guy? Like thinning hair, middle-aged doofus. That's my main character? Come on, you can do better than that. Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. This was one that I own this digitally. Okay. This is one that I own digitally. I've owned it digitally since it came out because this is one that I reviewed for Anime News Network, I want to say. Pretty sure you can still find that review there if you search for it. I think the company just got bought by somebody. Hope they don't take down the archives. I better make sure that I've at least saved all of my stuff from there. But so yeah, I've had this game for a long time. Played it to completion on a really tight schedule. I had to rush through it. I think I had like a week to beat the game in its entirety and review it. So it might be worthwhile for me to go back and play it again, take it a little bit more slowly, and really just kind of breathe it in. But I really did enjoy it. I gave it a good review. I think I found this for $7 or something at GameStop. So yeah, I figured why not put it on the shelf? Left Alive. I hear you'll wish you weren't after you play this, because I think it's supposed to be pretty bad. Yeah, this is, I think, supposed to take place in the Front Mission universe. I don't know a ton about it. The character designs look like they're by the person that does the Metal Gear Solid character designs. Very distinctive style there. I don't think that this is really going to be for me. I picked this up at the same time I picked up Codename Steam, and this was, I think, literally like $4. Considering that I wanted to eventually have all the Front Mission games, I thought, even just as a token, let's go ahead and put this one on the shelf too. Maybe we'll try it out someday, see if it's really as bad as everybody says. I tend to believe people when everyone tells me something sucks, but you never know. The Council. This is a really interesting one. I've only scratched the surface on this. I'm partway into the first chapter here, and I believe this is an episodic game. Yeah, this is an episodic game across 5 episodes. It's a really interesting sort of adventure game. It's a mix of kind of old and new style adventure games. So, you walk around and talk to people, and have conversations like you might in an adventure game. But there's also a sort of complicated stats system where you have like different abilities, like your conversational ability or your political ability, your arcane ability, so you can manipulate people in different ways based on the skills you develop over the course of the game. So you can put points into like being able to coerce someone or bribe them or use information you have. There's a whole lot of things that you can level up essentially to create different paths for yourself, I'm guessing. And the premise is really interesting. The character designs are a little weird. Finding the voice acting off-putting. It's not that it's bad. They're not doing a bad job. It just feels like the voices don't quite match the characters. And I don't know if that's a problem of design or just a problem of, well, it's got to be a problem of design, right? I'm enjoying it so far, so we'll see how it goes. Persona 4 Arena. This is another one of my righting a past wrong sorts of pickups. I had this and the sequel, remake, enhanced, whatever edition, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax at one point. Ultimax is being remastered for modern consoles. I think probably digitally only, which is but at least I have this physically. And it's cool. It's a sequel to Persona 4, essentially, in terms of story. And the story elements all play out in a visual novel sort of setup. So you can really just go in and enjoy the story if you want to. If you're not into fighting games, it is very easy to breeze past the fighting game parts of this and just enjoy the story. If you're into the Persona 4 characters and want to hang out with them some more, you can do it here. If you do like fighting games, this is by Arc System Works. And Arc System Works are known for just some of the coolest and most fun and most competitive fighting games out there. So this is definitely worth your time, whether you're just a Persona 4 fan or if you are really into fighting games. Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium. So I was fortunate enough to find this copy of Phantasy Star 4 in the box for, I want to say it was like 120, between 100 and 120, something like that. And that's a lot to pay for a game, especially a Genesis game. You know, I do love the Genesis, but I have a hard time spending more than $50 on a Genesis game. Still, Phantasy Star 4 is probably one of the best Genesis games, and it's a top-tier 16-bit JRPG on its own. So I really wanted to pick it up. The fact that it's in the box is crazy to me because this is the days when Sega stopped putting their games in the awesome clamshell cases and started using just regular old cardboard like the Super Nintendo. Finding complete in-box games from this era of the Genesis is really hard. Oh, and to be fair, this isn't actually complete in-box. It's just the game and the box. No manual. Kind of a bummer. Hopefully I can find it someday on eBay or something to complete it. But the box was the biggest thing. Like, I was not expecting to find the box for this. I figured the best I would do is get the cartridge, and that would be it. So, pretty happy to have a boxed copy of Phantasy Star 4. White Day. A labyrinth called School. This is the PlayStation 5 port of White Day. The Korean, right? Yes, Korean survival horror game. And I've heard pretty good things about it. I want to say my man Jay over at Cold Nights has maybe said something about this. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Jay, beat me up later if I am. But I have read some things about this too. It sounds pretty scary. Unfortunately, Halloween's over, and contractually I'm not allowed to play any scary games until next Halloween, so it's gonna have to sit on the shelf for a while, but I am looking forward to checking this out. Robo Trek. This is one that I've been on the lookout for a long time. I actually picked this up at the same time as Secret of Mana, which I showed earlier. This was a game I remember renting as a young lad of maybe 13. Desperate for role-playing games. Final Fantasy II was long past me in the rearview mirror, and Final Fantasy III I don't think was out yet, or I hadn't played it in any case, and I just needed a fix. This was a role-playing game, so I thought, why not? I don't remember loving it. No, I don't think I loved it, but something about this has kind of stuck in the back of my mind since I was a kid. And I haven't played it since then, but I've kind of had my eye out for it since I started collecting again a few years ago. And lo and behold, we are on our way back from a wedding in Michigan. We see a big outdoor flea market kind of swap meet thing. We pull over, start looking around, and there's a video game vendor. He's just gotten a big box full of really good stuff. And he sees that I'm interested in the high-end stuff. You know, they can tell. You can always tell. You can spot a sucker a mile away. So he brings me the box. I start going through it, and I pull out, of course, Secret of Mana, and I pull out Robotrek. And I think, okay, I've never seen this in the wild. I've never come across it at game stores, anywhere. I just got to get it. I just got to get it, bring it home, and play it so that I can kind of put it out of my mind. Maybe I'll find something to appreciate about it now that I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I also know, and I don't know how well this came over in the translation, but I'm pretty sure in Japan, this game was called Surapstuku, which is like slapstick, like comedy. So I don't think it's meant to be taken super seriously, like this goofy spaceship ball thing would suggest. This is some sort of epic sci-fi masterpiece. No, I think it's just supposed to be a goofy little game that's fun. So, we'll see. I'm going to give it another shot. Etrian Odyssey 5. Beyond the Myth. So, I've been curious about the Etrian Odyssey games. I played and enjoyed Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth, which I know is sort of like a mashup of Persona with the Etrian Odyssey series. I'm not the biggest dungeon crawler by nature, but this looks like a fairly weeby Japanese game, so I figure I might be into it. So I've picked up, Etrian Odyssey 5, which I don't know if this is the latest in the series, but it's a fairly late entry at least. So I knew that, okay, well, I'm going to have to get all of the other Etrian Odysseys before I can play 5. Like, I can't start near the end of a series. I need to see how it progresses, because if I play the latest game in a series that's new to me, if I play the latest game and I enjoy it, I'm going to want to play the previous games, because that's my nature. I want more of what I like. Give it to me. Put it in here. Log it away in the memory banks. But when I play older games in a series, so often gameplay elements and things like that have been improved over the years. So I play an older title, and suddenly it's missing some functionality, some gameplay feature that I really enjoyed in the entry that I played first. And it feels like a downgrade, which, I don't know, that just sucks for me. So when I start a new series, I am starting from square one. I am going back to the beginning. So, with Etrian Odyssey, I'm going to have to find the previous games. I know they remade the first 2 for 3DS. So I'll do those, because I think they actually gave them stories. I think that was one of the big things they added, was a story. So yes, that means I also picked up Etrian Odyssey 4. If you can see that, the green. Etrian Odyssey 4. So this one comes in it's a pretty beat up box. I figure that's okay. So we've got the game. No manual in here. I'm not sure if there ever was a manual. It does come with this, which is a music and art collection. This is kind of an art book that also holds the CD. You ever seen that before? Never seen that before. Interesting. This is called Rough Drafts and Outtakes. Is this not music? I don't know. Anyway, so I've got 4 and 5. 1, 2, and 3. I think there's one called Nexus. Is Nexus the last game in the series? Does it come somewhere else in the chronology? Help me out, folks, if you don't mind. Thank you. Shining Force for the Sega Genesis. Yeah, this is a 2 Genesis month. That's pretty exciting, right? It's some classic old school games. Picked this one up for a song. No, I actually had traded an extra 3DS, new 3DS XL that I had picked up for very cheap with a lot at a garage sale. Traded that towards this, so it ended up not costing me all that much out of pocket. Shining Force is my childhood. Me and my brother played the ever-living heck out of Shining Force and Shining Force 2. And it was downright travesty that I didn't have this in my collection, that I've been collecting for now 3-ish years and have only just now picked up Shining Force this month. So I've righted that wrong, added the game to the collection. Really, really looking forward to jumping back in and playing it again. This is another one, like Secret of Mana, that I have probably 3 different legit ways of playing, but having this bad boy on the shelf, like, that's pretty cool. Omori. So this is an interesting looking, sort of role-playing, maybe-ish-esque game with some horror elements. I knew nothing about this. And then somebody online, one of you, was it FemTrooper? I think it was FemTrooper. Yes, no, it was FemTrooper. Had pointed out something about this game on Twitter. So I knew nothing about this game at all. I don't even know if I knew it existed. The cover kind of looks familiar. It looks super cool. Like, really, really, really interesting. And just the fact that it looks so innocent, but has rated M, guys. All right. They don't just throw that rating around. All right. That means it's gonna get dark. So that, the cutesy characters juxtaposed with the dark, scary elements. That's all my jam. That's 100% my jam. I love it. So yeah, just picked this up literally an hour and a half ago from Best Buy. Was afraid I wasn't going to be able to find it. No stores seem to have it anymore, but I was able to special order it in. So was glad to grab this before it becomes a hard to find hidden gem. Rune Factory 5. Yes, the 5th full entry in the Rune Factory series. I will one day play the Rune Factory games. But again, like I said before, I got to start at the beginning. So I have the PS2 version, Tides of something, Tides of Junk, whatever. And then Rune Factory 4 Special on the Switch. And now Rune Factory 5. Got a couple more need to pick up. I'm not even sure what the other ones are on. I'll figure it out. The internet exists, so. But yeah, I've heard good things about 4 in particular. I think maybe some people were a little disappointed in some elements of 5, but I have tried not to listen to too much of the chatter because I want to be able to go into all of these with a reasonably fresh perspective. So, Anno Mutation M. This is a game. I'm not really sure what it's about or what you do in it or even really what genre it is. I saw a trailer way back, but I think before it came out, digitally even, and I thought the art style looked so interesting. It's like kind of a mix between like high def 2D visuals and 3D backgrounds and just very artsy, even fartsy, I would say. And I knew that I would want it. I think at the time it was only available digitally. I thought this is bound to get picked up by Limited Run or somebody. Sure enough, Limited Run picked it up, number 19 in their PS5 series. So I went ahead and snagged a copy because I figured I'd probably regret it if I didn't. So here it is, Romancing Saga. This is the last game in my pickups this month. Romancing Saga remake for PlayStation 2. The Romancing Saga games, of course, were the sub-series of the Saga series that we did not receive in America initially on the Super Nintendo. The Saga games, the initial Saga games, were released over here on the Game Boy as Final Fantasy Legend. So, that's a piece of trivia that the internet is well aware of by now, but just throwing it out there in case you didn't know. I'm interested in checking this out. I think since I've found myself enjoying some of these other kind of alternative style JRPGs like Octopath and Live Alive, games like that, I feel like I'm maybe a little more open to the saga style of storytelling than I was when I was a teenager. This is interesting to me, and I'm going to check it out. All right, I did say that that was the last game, and that's technically true. That's the last game that I picked up this month. There's one more item here that I'd like to show so that we can talk about it. If you follow me on Instagram, just at Brandon Johnson, spelled the way I spell it, D-E-N, you'll find me. You probably saw this already. This is the Sega Genesis Mini 2. This is the version that comes with all new games. It's modeled after the Sega Genesis Model 2, and it has a whole bunch of new stuff, some exclusive games, and Sega CD games for the first time. So they have a decent little selection of Sega CD games on here. Disappointingly, the Lunar games did not make the cut. It seems like they were not able to cut a deal with Victor Ireland to get them on here. That's a bummer. I would have liked to have had them in a legit form, let's just say. In a legit form. But still, I'm a collector, and I just love the way the little mini consoles look. They're just so cute. Little itty bitty. Pinch their little cheeks. So yeah, this was a pretty exciting thing for me to pick up. And actually, you know, when it first came out, or when they first announced it, I was a little bit on the fence. It's because I was like, you know, I've bought every mini console almost. I don't have any TurboGrafx 16 mini consoles yet, but I have almost every mini console that's come out. And do I play them? No, I don't really, because as a collector, the games that I would want to play for those consoles, I just have the games. I have the games already, or can easily get them. So it's, yeah, so I don't know why do I have this? I don't know. It looks really cool. Even just the fact that it's got Sega CD games on it, in my mind, makes it worth it, even if I didn't care about any of the other games that they have on here. Sonic 3D Blast? How can you go wrong with Sonic 3D Blast? The best Sonic game ever made. Alien Soldier, Afterburner 2. They've got a lot of good games on here. But yeah, as a collector, I don't know. I couldn't pass it up. I think Sega knew to expect a pretty low level of demand, at least in the US, for this one. And they made the, well, questionable move of only producing this in Japan, even though it's branded Genesis, which this was not called in Japan. It was the Mega Drive. But you can only buy it through Amazon Japan. So you have to import it, which is, yeah, a little bit weird. I've never purchased an American product that way before. But whatever, you know, it's here, it's cool, and I'm happy to have it. Okay, well, that's it. That is all of the pickups. We're going to have a serious talk, me and my psychiatrist, I guess, about this compulsion I have to buy things. My wife suggested I try something she calls No Buy November, where I go the entire month of November without purchasing any video games. It's an intriguing idea, and I thought, okay, how do I make that into content? Because, of course, I have to be able to make it into content. She hasn't given me a good answer yet, so if we think of a way to make No Buy November a thing, you'll be the first to know. Once again, thank you so much for being here with me. Please share with me in the comments below your pickups. I want to know what games you got. Make me jealous. I dare you. Make me jealous of the games you bought. Rub them in my face. I don't even care. Just do it. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out a lot. And until next time, bye.